with that, we welcome you back for our second episode of the day of Plate Exchange, our post-Mania episode, where we're switching out the side plates of our replica belts for our current champions. This is Steve with On the Ring Apron, representing Mania Club, got on my TME jersey still. Anybody who joined me earlier for episode 1, or even if you didn't, take the time to go back. We went over the NXT respective championships. We talked about the new World and WWE Tag Team titles on the main roster, and we also showed the plate exchange for Sami Zayn's championship swap by defeating Gunther at WrestleMania. Now we're getting ready to handle the second half of our two-part event, which are the 4 main roster World Championships. We have activated a voting poll down at the bottom. It's valid for the entire 30-minute show that we're going to be doing, and that is, who was the best WrestleMania season title change of the 4 main roster swaps? Is it Roman Reigns losing to Cody Rhodes? Is it Drew McIntyre's cash-in loss to Damian Priest? Is it Rhea having to drop the title and it goes in a battle royal to Becky Lynch? Or is it Bayley conquering Damage Control and winning the championship at Mania over Io Sky? So we have a number of fantastic options, and we're going to go over each of those in this episode. For those of you who expected me to be here at 4, I do send my sincerest apologies. I took a nap. Just not even going to lie. It was a very good nap. But sometimes this is one where I think the mental strain of everything I'm going through, for those of you who follow me on a regular basis, I've started a new position in the last month. It's a lot more up here. A little less physical, but it's definitely draining at times. But I'm still having, a great time, making a lot more money. So, hey, great for me. But either way, so let's go ahead. Again, we pay the bills here. And as you can see, I'm in my little fortress of solitude. Just like the first episode, this one is brought to you by Chili's. They have brought back the 3 for Me and are encouraging it through commercials and through social media. They've brought out a new burger, I believe, called like the Big Slammer or something like that. Thank you. You could hear Alyssa in the back. They're still going to correct me even from behind the curtain. But ultimately, they still continue to put out a good product. I've had gastric sleeve surgery, so I enjoy the queso and the appetizers myself. But it's fantastic work. So thank you so much for sponsoring our show. And as always, give us free stuff. But let's go ahead and get to our exchanges here. Now, starting off things... we are going to go ahead and get through the 2 women's championships first. 3 of the 4 titles that we talk about today did happen at WrestleMania. One happened on Raw 3 weeks later, excuse me. But let's go ahead and start with one championship that did change hands at WrestleMania, Wrestlemania Sunday to be more specific, and that was the WWE Undisputed Women's Championship. That was originally held by Io Sky. We do have her belt here, and turning that to the side there, you can see the Io Sky plates on our respective championship. And this one was ultimately swapped over and is now in the hands of the role model, Bayley. Now, it has been over 5 years, almost, since we have seen, actually 6 years since we've seen a Bayley face run, and it's also been since the pandemic since we last saw singles gold on the hands of Bayley as she held the SmackDown Women's Championship, the title that this one ended up becoming. During the pandemic, of course, there was a period of time where her and best friend at the time, Sasha Banks, held all the gold in the main roster's women's division all at once. But now you see an opportunity for Bayley with this new side, breaking away from the group that she created in Damage Control, and ultimately Damage Control now getting drafted to Monday Night Raw. So the storyline between Damage Control and Bayley is going to come to an end, as Bayley, of course, is the champion protected to stay on the blue brand over on SmackDown. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of stories they're going to run with Bayley as champion. She is set to defend her title for the 2nd time since winning it at Backlash France this upcoming Saturday. Plate exchange, or excuse me, top rope spoilers for that will be coming up immediately following this. We're going to take a little bit of time to eat some dinner, and then Key and Alyssa are going to join us for that. but that's where we'll discuss it, as Bayley will be defending in a triple threat match against both Naomi, my girl, and Tiffany Stratton, who has definitely made her place in the roster up to this point. My camera's still backwards. I don't think I'll ever get used to this. But there you see the EO Sky plates that we have, and we will go ahead and make the exchange official here by switching to our Bayley plates. So give me a moment. This is... I don't know if these are in the correct order or not. I guess let's find out here. Nope, we got them. We got them. Now, for anyone who, of course, has seen Plate Exchange before, we've been doing this. We're in our 5th year of doing this, and the Bayley plates have donned a couple of championships. They were on the SmackDown Women's Championship, the Women's Tag Team titles, but it has been a little bit since we busted these out, so kind of good to see these back in here with the role model Bayley plates coming back into play, but we'll go ahead and get those on our title belt here. And so, as always, for those who follow the show, you know, I always tend to pose a question to our captivating audience that's watching, you know, either here or, you know, if you're watching the follow-up on either Facebook or on YouTube, you know, make sure that you take the time to, you know, throw your comments, you know, down at the bottom. But we always want to have interaction because, hey, you never know when we're going to give away something, you know. Like I said earlier, you know, I'm making a little more money now, so, you know, we got a little more disposable income to help out with our to help our loyal fans and our fellow OTRAs who you know, continue to keep pushing us forward, and you know, we continue to enjoy this every step of the way. But in this instance, the question I want to pose is a very simple one: which iteration of Bayley that we have seen throughout her career up to this point is your favorite one? Do you like Hugger Bayley? Do you like role model Bayley? Do you like pandemic heel Bayley? Or do you like the now, I guess you could call her Renaissance Bayley, who is trying to start her own face reign on her own after starting up Damage Control? So there's a lot of different options here. I'm always gonna say that I am an absolute fan of Hugger Bayley myself from way back in the day. You know, I had a giant purple I'm a Hugger shirt from when I weighed almost 400 pounds, and still continue to wear that thing into the ground until, you know, finally I just got to the point where it just didn't make sense for me to have it anymore. And, you know, at this stage, you know, good luck finding one of those. But, you know, that one, and I think her original role model when she first turned heel, I think was a fantastic run as well. And I think they're doing a great job with having Bayley push the current main roster forward. You're seeing her put over people like Dakota Kai, Io Sky, Asuka, Kairi Sane. Asuka, I'm not sure, needed it. You know, with her time in Damage Control, and now you're seeing returning superstars like Naomi, and of course the future of the women's division, and people like Tiffany Stratton, all getting opportunities to go up against Bayley, definitely proving her place in there. I think she has already cemented her legacy. I think she will be a Hall of Famer when all is said and done. But that's for you guys to decide. So which one's your favorite? And let's just throw a bonus question in there. Do you think that if she was to retire right now, no more matches, no more promos, no more nothing, is Bayley currently a Hall of Famer? Give your thoughts below. But our plate exchange is official on the WWE Women's Undisputed World Championship. And there you see the Bayley plates now adorning our Undisputed Women's Championship. This is the, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, officially the 4th person to hold this championship. I had to take a second to do the math there because you had the original champion was Asuka. She lost it to Bianca Belair, was cashed in on by Io Sky, and then now it's with Bayley. 4th champion, and we will see this belt here in just a little while again later tonight. As we said, as Bayley will be defending this championship in a triple threat match at Backlash France. So we will be having an opportunity to be able to see if Bayley is ready for her first title defense, and doing so in another country nonetheless. But that wraps up hers. First of 4. Let's go ahead and take the time to move to our other women's championship, and that is the Women's World Championship from Monday Night Raw. That is this one right here. And I don't know if anybody has ever held these particular versions, the new world titles, especially the World Heavyweight Championship. These things are heavy, so, make sure you bulk up and stuff, eat your Wheaties and stuff before you go here. But ultimately, there's only been one champion up to this point, and that, of course, was the leader of Judgment Day, Mommy, Rhea Ripley, who held the championship during its entire iteration up to this point. She was, of course, the SmackDown Women's Champion at the time of the title officially swapping over to the new Women's World title. She went undefeated in championship matches, winning triple threats, fatal five-ways, all kinds of other multi-person matches, and inevitably defeating Becky Lynch at WrestleMania 40. She was the only woman or male to, outside of Logan Paul, to successfully defend her championship at WrestleMania. And you can tell this one has had no plate exchanges for quite some time because those screws on the back are on good. But Rhea ultimately having to drop her championship due to injury in storyline. She was attacked by Liv Morgan during her Liv Morgan Revenge Tour, as they're choosing to call it. But in the process of that, she ended up tearing her rotator cuff and is going to need surgery and is going to be expected to be out no less than 6 months. So unfortunately, one of the better women's title reigns that we've had in the last 5 to 10 years comes to an end that I don't think was one that we were, hopeful to see happen. It is interesting that we just had the draft go by, and ultimately, when the Judgment Day was selected in round 3 or 4 of night 2, Rhea Ripley was not part of the Judgment Day stable that ultimately was drafted over. So Rhea right now sits as a free agent for when she does inevitably return. But ultimately, she does have to drop the Women's World title, so there's her plates there. Never officially lost it. So we'll see what kind of mayhem that Rhea Ripley is going to bring to the table upon her return. But of course, with any title that gets swapped over, and you hate the circumstances of anybody having to give up their championship due to injury, you want to see it defended and, of course, won or lost in the ring. But the next week it was defended in a battle royal for the entire Raw roster, and it ultimately goes to the man, and now 7-time world champion, Becky Lynch. So we do have the man plates that she wore proudly on her NXT championship that she won back in October. She now has it on the rounder plates for here, and becomes only the second person to hold the Women's World title. There was a lot of speculation as to what they were going to do with Becky. I know, of course, her husband, Seth Rollins, needing surgery in order to get himself fixed up. He, of course, competed in multiple parts of WrestleMania. Becky Lynch also went head-to-head with Rhea Ripley unsuccessfully, but won it in a match in the Battle Royal 3 weeks later. So Becky, who I think a lot of people expected was going to be taking some time off, ultimately not only gets called back into action, but has the title put on her. I think that there are a number of people who are happy about that decision. I also think there was equally a strong number of people who were not pleased with the decision, feeling that they should have stayed with a stronger champion, such as maybe a Nia Jax. Give Liv Morgan the final piece of her revenge tour by not only taking out Rhea, but ultimately winning the championship along the way. And there are also people who, look at Triple H and the folks running Monday Night Raw and say this was the perfect opportunity to shine a new star. You could have possibly put a shocker on everyone, could have put the championship on, say a Shayna Baszler, who's been kind of sitting in the backside. You could have brought over Tiffany Stratton, because all of this, of course, was pre-draft, and an opportunity to be able to build up that next big star. But, you know, you got to realize with the European tour coming up, especially with Backlash in France this upcoming Saturday and events coming up, you've got Clash of the Castle in Scotland, you've got Saudi Arabia, you've got Berlin later in the summer. You need to have a big name leading your women's division, and I think they relied on Rhea Ripley being that name, and now that she's out, you had to go with another one. So I don't think this is necessarily the wrong move. I think you went with the sure thing here. You know Becky can compete, you know Becky can deliver, and so I think this was not a poor choice here under the circumstances. Also allowing Becky to be able to, you know, lose the championship when you feel like it's time. She's been willing to put over other people. You know, she put over Lyra Valkyria back in October to give up the NXT Women's title, and now Lyra's on Monday Night Raw. So is there potentially a possibility that these two could rematch again here in the very near future, with Lyra having already proven she can beat Becky? So that may be a great way for Lyra to get her debut. Just a thought there. Take that, Triple H, how you want. But this plate exchange is official, and the man plates for the women's world title for Becky Lynch are now adorning our women's world title. So we'll get you a good look at those. Do notice that the ones over here, you know, look like they're a little sideways based on the way it goes in, but I didn't make them, so, you know, I didn't design them, I just get to put them on, so. But either way, that's our two respective women's championships. And of course, we still have our poll down below, so everybody make sure that you take a second to throw that in there if you're watching this later on either YouTube or on Facebook. You know, sorry, you'll just have to put your vote in the chat. But ultimately, we are asking which WrestleMania season world title change, in your opinion, was the one that you were the most excited for. So we're halfway through this second half of Plate Exchange, and we've taken care of our two world championships for the women's side. Let's now move to the men's side, and we're going to begin with staying on Monday Night Raw with the World Heavyweight Championship. This is another title that, once again, heavy. But this is, again, another one of the championships that debuted back in the summer, late spring, summertime of last year. And just like the women's world title, it's only had one holder prior to WrestleMania season, and that was Seth freaking Rollins. Let me get that rotated there, but there you go. With the Seth Rollins plates on the side of our championship belt. But ultimately, he, you know, called it the working man's championship. You saw him defending the title virtually every couple of weeks, it seems like, instead of, you know, once a month or once every 2 months or so. So the World Heavyweight Championship was very well displayed throughout Seth Rollins' run. He ultimately would lose this championship at WrestleMania in a classic on WrestleMania Sunday to Drew McIntyre, who won the Elimination Chamber in order to get the title match, just the same as Becky Lynch won the Elimination Chamber to get her match with Rhea Ripley. But this, of course, you know, would be remiss if we didn't mention that Seth Rollins also competed in this almost 14 hours after a grueling 40-minute Night 1 main event where he and Cody Rhodes were unsuccessful at defeating Roman Reigns and the final boss, The Rock, at WrestleMania Saturday. So Seth already pretty beat up, pretty, you know, in a bad way at that stage, and ultimately, you know, a 50% or less Seth Rollins, not quite enough to be able to hold off Drew McIntyre. Now, of course, it's not Drew McIntyre's plates that are getting ready to go on the World Heavyweight Championship. And the reason for that is because he only held the World Heavyweight title for 5 minutes and, I believe it was 5 minutes and 45 seconds, something like that. I think I was just corrected from the front again. I can't hear through the headphones, but there you go. There you go. So, again, leave it to Alyssa. She, you think I'm the stat keeper? Now I'm starting to get old and I'm going to forget things and she's just going to take over, or Landon will, one of the two. But ultimately, he would go over to ringside, would get in the face of CM Punk, who he's had a problem with. Punk would end up sweeping out his leg and would ultimately end up knocking Drew McIntyre on the table, shattering his elbow in the process, to the point to where he would have to be in a sling for several weeks. But it would finally open the door for the cash-in that we kind of knew was coming, but now could officially happen, as Damian Priest of the Judgment Day, who won Money in the Bank all the way back in last late spring, early summer, finally cashes in his contract, and with one South of Heaven chokeslam, he defeats Drew McIntyre to win the World Heavyweight Championship, and we do have his Damian Priest plates. Priest has been a former North American champion, a former United States champion, so his plates have adorned our belts before, but now he holds the world title for the first time in his career here in WWE. So a congratulations to Damian. I think there was a lot of speculation, especially on the men's side, that the last couple of years, the people who have ended up winning the men's Money in the Bank contracts ultimately have kind of turned it into a joke. They're not always successful. The women still holding a 100% success rate up to this point. The men, not so much. And I think a lot of people, especially with the jokes of Damian in the Judgment Day, their time with R-Truth, and a couple of others, would that be so much to the point to where Damian would either unsuccessfully cash in or would get to the stage where he would wait too long and would be forced to cash in towards the end of his 1 year period of time. But ultimately, he did get the right moment, the right opportunity, and I do think it was scripted very well. Maybe a little predictable, I would say. But ultimately, I do think it's a move that not only gives Damian the proper push as the leader now of Judgment Day, especially with Rhea's injury that followed, but I also do feel like it appropriately continues the CM Punk and Drew McIntyre storyline, as right now they both are having to deal with being on TV while still waiting to be medically cleared to compete. So, when that one is going to officially take hold, I'm not really sure. I don't know if that'll be Money in the Bank, Clash at the Castle, possibly could hold it all the way to SummerSlam. I don't know if they can hold the story together that long, but I will say that, we all know what Punk can do on the mic, and Drew has certainly been no slouch lately on the mic himself either, as he definitely has picked up his game in terms of his ability to be able to put out a good promo. This one plate over here not being cooperative, and just like the women's world title a little while ago, we haven't had an opportunity to really do too much with these belts. So you can, the screws on the back still relatively new, still relatively tight. So ultimately, having to do a little bit of extra elbow grease in order to get these on here. But ultimately, I think that was one of the big speculations. So the question for this one is, of course, Damian Priest becoming the second person to successfully cash in Money in the Bank. Of course, Seth Rollins being the first in the heist of the century back at WrestleMania 31. But in your opinion, who was your favorite Money in the Bank cash-in? Was it Rollins? Was it Priest in this particular circumstance under things? You look at some of the women's champions, Carmella, of course, being the first. You look at Liv Morgan's cash-in against Ronda Rousey. Of course, you have people who attempted to cash in Money in the Bank that were unsuccessful, such as Damian Sandow or Jinder Mahal, who is no longer with WWE now. So there are a lot of options, both positive and those that maybe had the great opportunity slip through their fingers. There we go. That one's finally going in now. It took a second there. But in your opinion, who was your favorite one? I can tell you just from my perspective, because I don't mind going first on this one, it's without question, it's Dolph Ziggler's cash-in back after 29. We sat inside of that Izod Arena in New Jersey, and that place is deafening. The video is actually still on our YouTube page, and it was so loud in that arena that even trying to hold the camera steady so that way we could film his cash-in on Alberto Del Rio, just the camera's shaking. Like, that wasn't me being nervous, or that wasn't me, you know, being in a... That was how much noise and how loud that building was. Arguably the loudest non-WrestleMania arena that I think I've been in, with maybe the Backlash we just had in Puerto Rico last year being up there as well. But yeah, Ziggler's cash-in definitely is right on up there. Seth, of course, you know, his is always classic as well. But we'll be curious to see, you know, how it goes. But with that, I had to do a little extra elbow work on this one. But this exchange is official, and we have our new World Heavyweight Champion, El Campeon, Damian Priest, now holding World Championship gold. He will be defending his World Heavyweight Championship this upcoming Saturday for the first time, and he will be defending it against main event Jey Uso. I was expecting a yeet to come from behind the curtain. There we go. Hey, just because it's my show doesn't mean they're not going to jump in when given the opportunity. But, you know, Jey Uso now, you know, finally truly on his own, as he does get the opportunity to have a shot at the World Championship. Of course, you know, it's been very chronicled of the matches that he has had for Championship Gold that has slipped through his fingers due to Jimmy Uso, Roman Reigns, others getting involved. This time you truly feel like he's going to get that one-on-one match. Damian has asked Judgment Day to stay out of it, and frankly, they've been acting a little silly as of late anyway. You see JD McDonough's big red mark on his face after he got punched by Logan Paul. But ultimately, you know, Damian is going to have an opportunity to be able to show whether he is going to be a fighting world champion and one that can be deserving of the place he was given, or is it going to be a situation where he is just a transitional champion, as we have had happen with other Money in the Bank cash-in winners before, both on the men's and women's side. So we'll find out more, and of course, we're going to talk about it on Top Rope Spoilers shortly following this. So if you're staying with us, first of all, thank you so much for joining us. Make sure you like, follow, subscribe. All of our social medias are over there on the right-hand side. So definitely take the time to follow us. We've got a lot of neat content, a lot of fun stuff. But YouTube and TikTok and social media, you know, of course, we're part of Mania Club on Facebook, so go check out their page. 40,000 people strong. We just raised $1,500 last week during our mock draft for, you know, for Connor's Cure and for the V Foundation. So we are, you know, always happy to contribute, always happy to give our TME and support the club. But with that, we finally move on to our final belt of the plate exchange. And there's a decent chance that somewhere during the middle of this one, I'm probably going to get a guest that's going to try to sneak into the building, so we might be getting some Five Nights at Freddy's stuff going on in here in a little bit. But for the first time in over 1,300 days, we have a life in WWE that does not have our tribal chief, Roman Reigns, as our current world champion. As at WrestleMania 40, in the rematch that everyone wanted, ultimately he was successful in defeating Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins in a tag team match on Saturday, but under Bloodline rules fell to the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes, and for the first time in almost 4 years, we have a new undisputed WWE World Champion. Not sure how many other people have noticed, but WWE has very subtly and very quietly started removing the word Universal from this particular name, just calling it the Undisputed WWE Championship, which of course now is in the hands of the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes, finishing his story and ultimately winning the one World Championship that his father, the late great Dusty Rhodes, was unable to win during his time, and at least for now finishing the storyline of Roman Reigns as our head of the table, our tribal chief, getting some well-deserved time off as he not only, of course, gets an opportunity to be able to rest after carrying the company on his back for nearly 4 years, but also giving him an opportunity. There's been a lot of speculation that his leukemia has come back. Again, this is all speculation, all rumor, nothing officially confirmed, but whatever it is, it's amazing that, so many people wanted Roman Reigns to be gone and wanted this title run to end, and now that it is, people are clamoring like, thank you, Roman, we miss you, please come back. I don't, and there's, of course, the old adage of, you don't appreciate something or don't love something truly until it is, until it's gone. And I think that so many people were so anxious to see Cody Rhodes finish his story because he wasn't able to do so last year, that I think they pushed for, a title run to end, that I think now that it is, I think maybe a little buyer's remorse from the WWE Universe. Not necessarily all of them. Definitely one person in our house who's happy with it, and one person in our house who's definitely not happy with it. But I'm sure that won't come up at all during Top Rope spoilers coming up here later on this evening. But I do remain unbiased in mine, and while it has been a joy to see the plates of our tribal chief, Roman Reigns, on our respective belts. Because figure, when he won this, it was 2020. I could still hold my youngest in my arm like a football. Alyssa wasn't even part of the show yet. She hadn't even joined our crew yet. And the belt was still blue. So that should tell you how long Roman Reigns really held it. I mean, an absolute historic run that we're likely never going to see again. Gunther's run was amazing as Intercontinental Champion, and it was less than half the length of Roman Reigns's. So he got us through the pandemic, and along the way, not only did Roman Reigns build up himself with his new adage of the Tribal Chief, but look at the number of people whose careers he builds up. Jey Uso is going to have a World Championship match this upcoming Saturday. Look at where he was when Roman's run as the Tribal Chief started during the pandemic era and in the Thunderdome. He didn't just use his platform to build himself, he used it to build up others. And you look at people like Jay, Jimmy, Solo, Paul Heyman, now a Hall of Famer. You wonder if this was the final notch in his belt that put him over the top. You look at Solo Sikoa, you look at Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, Randy Orton, Riddle, even before he left, and now all of a sudden he's winning championships over in Japan. I mean, the list goes on and on and on of people that Roman's run, helped to catapult people up to new levels. So, we wish him all the best in the endeavors of whatever it is he's doing outside of the wrestling ring, and we definitely, of course, will. I'm sure there will be a very loud pop waiting for him when he decides to return. A lot of people are speculating it'll be SummerSlam. But whenever that is, we wish you the best to Joe as well as Roman. So take care of yourself. But with that, as we said, after over 1,300 days, the Roman Reigns plates come off.
Whoa!
As you can see, they are throwing their 2 cents in the back. Because they can hear all of that. But we acquired these particular plates a year ago. Because even the most hardcore of Roman Reigns fans believed that Cody was going to likely finish the story at 39. Of course, he did not. And so these plates, which now adorn the Undisputed WWE Championship, have been in our possession for close to a year now. He had an opportunity to win the U.S. title. Of course, did win the tag titles, but no plates for those. So these have just been sitting in our shelf, collecting dust and biding their time. But now his, pardon the pun, but his time is here. As Cody Rhodes does finally finish the story. It took him a year longer than he probably wanted. And so our American Nightmare plates will go on to the Undisputed Championship. So, this is our final question. As you can see, the poll has closed now. for those of you that are watching the follow-up a little bit later, obviously you can't see what the final results were, but ultimately it was Bayley's run, surprisingly enough, that was voted as the top one, narrowly beating out Cody and him finishing his story. But ultimately they elected that the role models run as the women's world champion was ultimately the most critical title change of the WrestleMania season. But this will be the curious part, is now that Cody has finished his story, I pose for you, how long does he hold the title? And a second part to it, who do you feel is the right person to be the person to take the title off of him? You beat the legend and run in the historic run of someone like Roman Reigns, 1,300 plus days as champion. But, when that happens, anyone who sits here and realistically believes that Cody Rhodes is going to have a 1,300-day reign himself, I think even Cody himself would argue that's not possible with the strength of the current WWE roster. So you end up looking at this. He does defend this Saturday against AJ Styles in a battle of all Georgia boys, so, we'll be rooting hard from our home state.
Let's go!
But I think a lot of people speculate that AJ's not going to be the person who's going to end it. You never know. You might see a surprise, might see a shocker. But ultimately, you look at someone like Cody Rhodes and now having the aura of being the person to end the run of Roman Reigns, that his ultimate defeat and loss of this championship has to come to someone of importance. And you look at, some of the names that are there. Is this the perfect time for the master to come back after the student? Does Randy Orton get number 15 off of him? Do you potentially build up, the Wyatt Six, and maybe it's someone like Uncle Howdy who ultimately takes it? Is it Solo and the new bloodline that seems to be forming? Do you have him potentially drop the title to someone like a Jey Uso or maybe a Solo, or is it ultimately the end game going to be he's going to hold it until Roman Reigns comes back and then Roman will win it back? Also, of course, the final boss saying, when I come back, I will be finding you with or without the belt. So is it possible he's still champion when The Rock decides that he wants to come back and try to win championship number 9 in his career? But, all great things must come to an end. It was episode 8 of Plate Exchange, all the way back in 2020, that we officially announced Roman Reigns as the Universal Champion. This is now episode 63 of our show, and we finally have to say goodbye to the Roman Reigns plates, but again, not 100% in my mind that we will not be seeing those again at least one more time. We'll see how everything pans out, but here the exchange is now official, and the American Nightmare plates now adorn our undisputed WWE Championship belt. We'll get a couple of good shots for you here, and then all of these, of course, will be posted on our social medias. You can see those down on the right-hand side to allow every opportunity for you guys to be able to get a better look at these, because, the lighting in my office is not spectacular. But either way, that wraps up and concludes our Plate Exchange 2-part special for post-Wrestlemania. Thank you so much to everybody who on a Wednesday afternoon decided they wanted to come join me. Let me take my nap. Thank you so much for letting me do that, because anyone in the house will tell you I work like a demon. I'm never not working, Troy Polamalu. But ultimately, I work hard for everything that I do, so when I do choose to take an afternoon nap, it's my body telling me I need it, not, I'm doing it by choice. And I think this is one where I think I was just overruled. So either way, as promised though, we got the show done, and we've still got one more show to go, so we're going to take a little quick break here, get ourselves a quick snack. I'm going to move the camera back into our normal setting, and in a little while we'll be here one last time for Plate Exchange, or for Top Rope Spoilers, so that way we can be able to get our predictions in for Backlash France coming up this Saturday afternoon. So for everyone and on the ring apron, thank you so much for sharing this moment with me. We've got our new plates, a couple more still to come. As we said, we don't have the NXT tag plates or either of the 2 new world tag titles yet. So we'll, have some stuff to look forward to whenever those can make it in. But for now, we're as updated as we can be, and we'll see if Backlash presents us with any more fun. But either way, this is Steve with On the Ring Apron. You guys take it easy, and I'll see you guys in a little bit.